This is episode 197 of Teacher Approved. You're listening to Teacher Approved, the podcast helping educators elevate what matters and simplify the rest. I'm Heidi.
And I'm Emily. We're the creators behind Second Story Window, where we give research-based and teacher-approved strategies that make teaching less stressful and more effective. You can check out the show notes and resources from each episode at secondstorywindow.net.
We're so glad you're tuning in today. Let's get to the show.
Hey there, thanks for joining us today. In today's episode, we're diving into why recovery after the school year is essential and sharing a teacher-approved tip for creating a summer bucket list that actually helps you recover.
Let's start with a try it tomorrow where we share a quick win that you can try right away. Emily, what do you have for us this week?
This one's simple. Just write a sticky note that says, I will come back to this later. And then you stick it on your desk, your laptop, or even your teacher bag. It's your visual permission slip to pause. Not everything has to be handled right now.
If you like this idea or anything else we share here on the podcast, would you take a second and give us a 5-star rating? Ratings and reviews are one way that new listeners find us, so every rating and review is a huge help to us.
It's true. We do a little happy dance every time we get a new review.
We do.
So this episode is coming to you in early June, which means many of you are either done with school for the year or you can see the finish line just ahead of you.
And if you are anything like we were in our teaching days, you are probably experiencing a weird mix of emotions right now. There's relief that the year is ending, exhaustion for making it through, excitement for the summer, and maybe even a touch of guilt.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that guilt can be loud. It can shout at you from lots of places. There might be guilt about being relieved that the school year is over, or guilt over what you could have done more for your kids during the year, and guilt that you had to put so much of your real life on hold to manage your teacher life.
And of course, we can't forget the summer guilt that you should be filling your time with projects and plans and professional development when really all you have the energy for is moving from the bed to the couch.
Yeah, there were plenty of summers where I would painstakingly outline an epic color-coded to-do list that was full of huge projects like revamping the whole math block, or reading all the professional development books, redoing all of the bulletin boards.
All of the things, all of the time. That is how we roll.
Yep.
And Emily, how many of those things actually got done?
Well, it depended on the summer, but never all. Never all. My ideas were always too ambitious, but, my body had other plans. So I'd sleep in, plan to get started later in the day after I watch a few episodes of the show I'm binging, And then after a couple of weeks, that guilt creeps in and I would throw myself into my projects like I was being paid for it, which, let's not forget, I was not, and neither are you. And then I'd show up on the first day of school just totally exhausted and bummed out that I lost my whole summer.
Maybe that sounds familiar to you like it does to me. This is such a common experience for teachers. You go from sprinting full speed to a complete stop. And then there's the deep spiral into panic mode.
And that is totally not healthy, and it's just not sustainable. Rest is protective and essential, but if you struggle to feel that way, maybe reframing how you think about downtime would be useful.
So to help with that reframing, we are revisiting the 4 R's of recovery that we talked about way back in episode 13 and in episode 65. But we are adding a fresh perspective, specifically focusing on why teacher recovery is not just nice, but necessary, and why the guilt that we feel about it is misplaced.
So let's just start there. Recovery is not indulgent. It is necessary. It's a fundamental human need.
Exactly. You are not a machine, and when you push too hard for too long, your body and your brain start waving little red flags that might show up as headaches, brain fog, low moods, and that bone-deep exhaustion that coffee cannot fix.
Maybe you've noticed some of those flags. It takes actual intentional rest to manage them. Rest is how your nervous system resets, how your immune system rebuilds, and how your mind gets a chance to sift through all of the noise. Ignoring recovery is what leads to burnout, and we don't want that for us or for you.
If you're like a lot of teachers, you probably hold yourself to pretty high standards. And when it comes to recovery, that might mean that you want to put limits on the amount of rest that you think you should require. But After almost a decade of chronic illness, I am here to tell you that bodies, unfortunately, don't work that way. You need exactly as much rest as your body wants, even if that doesn't fit into your schedule.
Yeah, and the amount of recovery you need is directly proportional to the amount of stress and demand that you've been under. Teaching is one of the most demanding professions out there, and teachers make an average of 1,500 educational decisions per day.
That is an enormous cognitive load. And that's just the instructional decisions. We're not counting all of the interpersonal, organizational, and emotional decisions that teachers face daily.
And when June hits and you find yourself staring at the takeout menu like it's an algebra problem or scrolling Netflix, unable to choose anything to watch, that is not laziness. That is just decision fatigue catching up with you.
I've been there. Decision fatigue is no joke. And feeling tired is not a moral failing. Your brain and body are sending you important signals, and you need to listen, or your brain and body will make sure that you listen.
Yeah, it's kind of like your check engine light coming on in your car. Like, you wouldn't ignore that, right?
It did take me 3 months to get my car registered this year. When I went to pick it up, they were out of the little stickers for the license plate because it'd been so long.
So they didn't have the month that you needed?
I had to mail away for it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, guys, don't take car advice from Heidi. Just FYI. My service light turned on today in my car because I will almost need an oil change very soon. And I already was like, all right, this many miles left. Then I need to get it scheduled because I am always on top of my car lights. You can take car advice from me. But okay, moving on from that analogy, our exhaustion is a warning signal we should pay attention to. Don't push through it or feel guilty about it or wait 3 months to deal with it like Heidi.
Feels a little pointed.
I'm sorry.
So let's talk through the 4 R's of recovery. Relax, refresh, refocus, and recharge. Each one plays a unique role in helping you recover.
So starting with our first R, relaxing means engaging in activities that are fun, freeing, and make you smile or laugh. It's the art of doing something simply because it feels good, not because it checks a box.
But there's also an important mindset component to recovery. It's about giving yourself permission to just be without any productivity goals.
That's the hardest part for teachers, isn't it? We're so used to measuring our worth by what we accomplish. I have to do a hostage negotiation with myself to feel like reading a novel during the day is actually okay and I'm not doing anything wrong.
If it's hard for you to embrace relaxing, try reminding yourself that relaxation is a form of productivity. It just looks a little different than grading math tests or vacuuming your living room. Relaxation is productively giving your brain the space to sort, heal, and restore.
Oh, I love that reframe. And it resonates with me because I have totally felt that guilt. Like if I'm not actively filling my summer with a huge list of tasks, then I'm somehow falling behind or letting people down. But what if taking the time for genuine relaxation is actually making you a better teacher?
Yes, we can't keep pouring from an empty cup. So, Emily, what are some practical ways that teachers can embrace relaxation without guilt?
Well, first, and I think this is the best way, is to schedule it. Put do nothing time on your calendar. Sometimes scheduling something can give you the permission that you need to follow through. Another idea is to leave your plan book closed for at least a week or maybe several weeks if you can after summer starts. Hide your teacher bag in the trunk of your car where it can't taunt you. And third, try this mantra, my worth is not measured by my productivity.
Oh, I love that. I am actually looking at a sticky note on my computer right now that says, productivity is about more than output. I need this reminder daily that checking things off a list might feel satisfying in the moment, but it isn't the true key to happiness, supposedly. I am not less valuable when I'm scrolling Instagram or, just doing something for fun. I'm a human doing her best. And honestly, that is more than enough.
For sure. And I always think I'm a human being, not a human doing.
Oh, there you go. That's
that
a good one.
helps. If you also struggle with this, try making a summer slow list, a list of relaxing things to do, like watching a whole movie in one sitting, maybe even without your phone out.
Nope, that's too crazy.
Or trying some new tea flavors or organizing your photos, which is something I'm doing this summer, which I have to say, it doesn't feel that slow. It feels kind of stressful, but it is a big fun project and I'll be so glad. It's a good one. Nothing has to be finished or optimized though. So if you don't get it done, it's okay because this is about giving yourself permission to just slow down and be.
Those are some great ideas. I'm kind of tempted to start my own summer list now, especially if it has things like afternoon reading breaks and episodes of The Great British Bake Off.
Our second type of recovery is to refresh. This is all about reconnecting with the parts of yourself that maybe got pushed to the side during the school year. It's the you that exists outside of lesson plans and grading and team meetings.
A refreshful recovery. Is refreshful a word? I think it should be. A refreshful recovery might include hobbies, travel, long lunches with friends, spending time outside playing video games, gardening, cooking, learning something new, calling up an old friend for a long catch-up, or finally finishing that book that's been sitting on your nightstand since November. Anything that helps you feel a little more centered fits the bill.
Since the goal with refreshing is to feel more like your true self, what's refreshing for one person can vary wildly from what's refreshing for someone else. So maybe for you, it's refreshing to write in a journal or binge watch a comfort show, guilt-free, but someone else may need the excitement of diving into a new craft project.
And don't feel like you have to put limits on what refreshing looks like. Even a walk around the block with your dog or whipping up something new in the kitchen can be deeply refreshing.
And if you're the type of person who finds joy in learning something new, maybe you should take a class just for fun with 0 tests and definitely no grading. Whatever helps you feel a little more like yourself and a little more grounded, that is what refreshing is all about.
If you're stumped for ideas about what feels refreshing, try making a list of things you enjoyed before becoming a teacher or a busy mom, and then commit to revisiting at least one of those things. That doesn't mean it has to be your whole personality. It can be as simple as subscribing to accounts related to hiking and photography on social media.
Yeah, even baby steps can move us forward.
Heidi here. If you are enjoying this episode, will you do us a favor and pause what you're doing right now and leave us a 5-star rating and a review on Apple Podcasts? Reviews help to grow our show and they mean so much. We read and appreciate every single one.
And that brings us to the third R in our recovery framework, refocus.
For a refocused recovery, we're talking about regrounding yourself in the rhythms that make your life feel manageable and meaningful and maybe even kind of lovely. It's not about adding more to your to-do list or reinventing your whole life. It's about gently tuning into what helps you feel functional and centered.
So try asking yourself, what keeps me fastened to my foundation? What habits or rituals make me feel most like myself, not just a teacher, a parent, a partner, or the fixer of all the things, but, as like a whole breathing human person?
Start by listing out the routines and anchors that help you stay afloat. That could be things like staying on top of the laundry so your Tuesday doesn't start with an underwear crisis, or even getting back to a regular exercise habit because your body feels better when you move.
That reminds me, I have laundry I need to go move. It's hard to stay on top of the laundry. Refocusing is all about returning to your daily rituals with intention and not obligation. We're not building this into a perfectly optimized routine that we're going to beat ourselves up for failing to follow with 100% fidelity. You know that phrase. This is more about reintroducing a morning walk, stretching with your coffee, journaling for 5 minutes while the house is still quiet, or finally lighting the candle that you keep saving for the perfect moment.
For you, it might be a date night that reminds you of who you are outside of carpool duty, or a devotional or meditation that recenters you in something bigger than your classroom tasks.
Think about your morning and evening transitions. Are they rushed and chaotic or calm and nourishing? Can you make a little space to wind down with a cup of tea, to prep breakfast the night before, or to set the tone for your day with sunshine instead of email, which guilty.
Refocusing isn't glamorous, but it is really powerful. For me, I think it might be the most effective form of recovery. It helps me put things back in place, both literally and figuratively, if you can see my house, so that I can face the next chapter from a place of calm and strength instead of burnout and disarray.
When the school year is in full swing, we so often move into survival mode. Everything gets compressed. And the first things to go are usually the small, quiet rhythms that actually make us feel like a really happy, healthy human. Summer is the chance to reset that. So plan to refocus on whatever routines make your body feel cared for, your mind feel clear, and your home feel rich and happy.
And that brings us to our final R, which is to recharge. This emphasizes activities that fill you up with energy and excitement.
Recharging is about building up positive energy by actively refueling. Now, this is different from our first R, relaxing.
Yeah, try thinking of relaxing versus recharging as checking out versus checking in. Relaxing can involve a lot of losing yourself in something enjoyable or even just something that's non-demanding, like spending 2 hours playing a game on your phone. Recharging, though, is more about dialing in. It's rediscovering the things that light you up.
Now, what recharges one person might completely drain another. There's no one-size-fits-all approach, unfortunately. So you're going to have to think about what gives you energy mentally, emotionally, and physically. For one, it might be solo walks with the podcast. For someone else, it might be hiking with friends or baking or organizing a drawer. I know, but that really can be energizing.
If you're not sure what recharges you, take notes. Pay attention to what leaves you feeling better and not drained afterward. Keep a list of quick ideas so when your energy is low, you don't have to guess what might boost that energy level back up.
Yeah, I love that because when you're tired, it's hard to think of what would help. Having a pre-made list will make a big difference. And just remember, there's no right way to recharge. The goal is just to find what works for you and make space for it.
And remember that even small changes in a routine can have a big impact on how recharged we feel.
Yeah, it's just being proactive about energy management. And it's something I've realized lately too, that I know that what I'm doing is actually a recharging activity. If when I'm done with it, I'm excited and not so believe me, scrolling the phone for a long time does not leave me feeling like that.
No, I can imagine that wouldn't work. Well, and that's a really good thing to pay attention to. Another aspect of recharging is identifying and eliminating energy drains. For me, I found that a surprising drain was having the news on while getting ready in the morning. Nobody needs that in their life, so switching to music made an immediate difference in my energy level.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that what recharges you might change over time or in different seasons of life. The activities that filled your tank 5 years ago just might not do the job anymore.
Oh, that's such a good point. It's worth reassessing regularly and being open to discovering new sources of energy.
Okay, so let's recap those 4 R's of teacher recovery. First is relax. Give yourself permission to rest without guilt. Second is refresh. Reconnect with who you are outside of teaching. Refocus is to rebuild the rhythms that keep your life running. And then to recharge is to find what fills your tank and do more of it.
Many teachers worry that if they fully embrace these 4 R's during summer, they'll somehow be less prepared for the next school year. And if you feel that guilt hovering around you, I want you to shoo it away right now.
Yeah, there's this misconception that rest and preparation are opposites, but recovery is preparation. That's how we come back stronger.
And research does back us up on this one. Studies show that adequate recovery periods lead to higher productivity, better decision-making, and greater resilience when challenges arise.
So if you're feeling guilty about not using your summer to revamp your entire curriculum or reorganize your classroom library, just let that guilt go.
Yeah, your future students deserve a teacher who's rested, recharged, and ready to give them their best, not because she hustled all summer, but because she took care of herself.
If you know a teacher who could use a little permission to rest, would you send this episode their way and come share your recovery plans with us in our Facebook group? We could all benefit from the ideas. Now for our teacher-approved tip of the week, where we share an actionable tip to help you elevate what matters and simplify the rest. This week's teacher-approved tip is to make your own personalized summer recovery plan. Tell us about it, Heidi.
Well, most summer lists focus on fun activities or travel plans, which is great. We're totally here for that. But teachers, I recommend creating a 4R recovery bucket list that deliberately incorporates activities from each of our recovery categories.
Oh, I love this idea. So what does that look like in practice?
We'll start by grabbing our free end-of-year roadmap from the show notes. There's a page in there that is set up to help you tailor the perfect recovery plan for you. Now, all of this is in Google Sheets, so you can type right on the page. And I like that because it's just so much quicker than handwriting. You start by reflecting on where you're at as the school year wraps up and envisioning what you need to get out of your summer. And then there are boxes for the 4 R's of recovery: relax, refresh, refocus, and recharge.
The next step is to brainstorm 3 to 5 specific activities for each category that you want to prioritize this summer. And make these concrete ideas, not just relax more. You might really need to focus on recharging, which is totally fine, but try to come up with a few ideas for each area of recovery.
Yeah, exactly. So for relax, you might write, read the new Emily Henry novel or catch up on The Last of Us.
Although I have to say, I don't think The Last of Us is relaxing. If you do, tell me. But I tried to watch it just recently. I was like, I need to get on this. I love Pedro Pascal. And I was like, oh no, this is stressful.
No, definitely not for me.
But if it's relaxing for you, you should put it on your list.
Go for it. For refresh, it could be go to sunset yoga at least 3 times or practice playing the piano 3 times a week.
And then what are the other 2 R's?
Well, for Refocus, you might include something like figure out a meal planning system that doesn't make my brain melt, or buy a tray to hold all of the water bottles that the kids keep leaving around the house.
Oh, seriously.
And for recharge, it might be hike a new trail every week or visit the local flea market.
So once you have all that filled in, the key is keeping your planner visible. Print it off and stick it on your refrigerator or as your phone lock screen.
If you need some accountability, try to commit to doing at least one activity each week of your summer break.
Yeah, that ensures balanced recovery across all dimensions of well-being, not just physical rest.
Exactly. And here's a bonus tip. For each item, note how you will know if it was successful. This helps you recognize when an activity is truly serving your recovery needs and when it's not. To wrap up the show, we are sharing what we're giving extra credit to this week. Emily, what gets your extra credit?
Well, I'm giving extra credit to the extremely not relaxing book from John Green called Everything is Tuberculosis, the History and Persistence of Our Deadliest Infection.
Not much of a beach read.
No, indeed it is not. But I just finished reading this and it's just really on my mind right now. And to be clear, I thought I pretty much understood tuberculosis, but it turns out I did not. The book was just so eye-opening to learn not only how tuberculosis works, but to understand how it's been just deeply intertwined with humanity over time. And really the most mind-blowing and frustrating thing I learned is about how this disease is curable, yet it is the deadliest disease in the world due to a healthcare inequality. So I get it. This is a heavy topic, but the book is short and the information is really compelling and digestible. And John Green makes any topic easy to listen to or read, I feel like. And I might just turn into him bringing up tuberculosis in every conversation from now on. So be prepared if you know me.
If you follow him on social media, he kind of does a bit, I guess, where people will be like, well, how does this relate to tuberculosis? And he'll be like, oh, easy. And it's kind of like the worst version of the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
That makes me think of my Big Fat Greek Wedding when the dad's like, give me any word and I'll tell you how it came from Greek. Yes, like that, but with tuberculosis.
A little less fun, but very interesting.
It's informative, if nothing else. So what's your extra credit, Heidi?
Well, my extra credit goes to something very different. It is the little Torani syrup bottles that you can get at World Market. I picked up some the other day that came in a special spring sampler variety pack, and it has been so fun. I've been adding hibiscus and lavender to the Clearly Canadian that I also got at World Market. So just a fancy little midday drink for Heidi.
Oh, I love Clearly Canadian. I'll have to get some mini Torani bottles too.
They're so cute. That's it for today's episode. Teacher recovery isn't laziness. It's a necessity that directly impacts your effectiveness in the classroom and in life.
And don't forget our teacher-approved tip, which is to create a 4R recovery bucket list to ensure you're addressing all dimensions of teacher well-being this summer. And you can get that in the end of your roadmap, which is linked in the show notes. You know, we couldn't do a whole episode where we didn't talk about the end of your roadmap again.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Teacher Approved. I'm Heidi. And I'm Emily. Thank you for listening. Be sure to follow or subscribe in your podcast apps so that you never miss an episode. You can connect with us and other teachers in the Teacher Approved Facebook group. We'll see you here next week. Bye for now.
Bye.